Would they or would they not? If I was a black man, if me and all my black friends got together and said, let's get in these Jewish kids' heads. Let's tell them this is your culture. Mazel tov, nigga, right? Like really think about it, like this is your culture, right? Okay, right? And they would absolutely positively shut me down. They might even take me out. I might not even be breathing the next week. So what I'm saying to you is at the end of the day, man, why do we allow certain rules to be applied to black people that don't apply to anybody else? Why do we let other people do things to us that they would never let us do to them? Why do we hold on to this fantasy of equality when economically speaking, if you're not economically strong, you really don't have access to equality. You're never going to have it. You have to have economic strength. And the first step before you save the whole community is to save yourself. That's why I say things that sound very dramatic. I say things like, no black child should ever be forced to work for a white person because there's no white child that's forced to work for a black person. But my statement sounds crazy until I flip it on you. When I first say it, they're like, "Whoa, wait a minute, sir, you sound radical. That's racist. What do you mean no black child should have to work for a white person?" Well, I say, well, there's no white child that has to work for a black person, is it? Am I right or am I right? Really? I mean, if I say it the other way, yeah, it's like, yeah, of course, there's not a white child that's forced to work for a black person. That would be preposterous. That makes no sense. But when we say every black person is going to have to work for a white person, that sounds like logical. Like, well, of course. Why should you go to an HBCU? I mean, you're going to have to learn to get along with white people because you're going to have to work for them. Tell me I'm lying. I want you to really think about that. Think about how many times you've heard people tell you. Has anybody ever heard that? Or maybe I'm too old school on this, but anybody ever heard that where they say, remember when they say HBCUs were unrealistic because well, eventually you're going to have to work for white people, so you have to learn how to get along with white people. Anybody? like they used to say that, and nobody goes to Yale and they say, well, that's unrealistic that you don't have to learn how to work for African Americans. I mean, eventually a black man is going to be your boss. No, now, maybe they might say, okay, you one day your employee is going to be black, or even your coworker, right? Let's just be real. Let's be honest and accurate here. We don't need to be extreme to make our point. So maybe they might say your coworker could be black, or your subordinate would be black, but not anywhere in their mind are they imagining that. Well, shit, damn, the CEO of the organization I work for is going to have to be a black person because I got 1,000 organizations I can work for, and I may happen to have a black CEO. Which again, I don't think all white people are terrible. I don't think that they're sitting around hating black people. Like right, so they can tolerate that, but for the most part, no white kid graduates from college expecting that they're going to end up working for a black owned business. And in fact, even most of the major corporations that have black CEOs are not black owned businesses. They've got black figureheads. And that's something that we're still learning to differentiate. We're still learning to differentiate between a black face in a high place versus the black face in a powerful place. Black power does not show up typically in a Fortune 500 company. Black power shows up in places like this. And I say it like this because of this. We're not a big company. We're not a $1 billion organization, but we've probably, generated $50 million for the black community in the over the years. In this space, you cannot survive or operate if you're not really deeply in tune with black culture. If you were white and you worked for me, you'd probably have to code switch every day. You would. You'd have to be able to talk in a way that I understood because if I don't get you, I'm not going to work with you.